Over the span of her remarkable career, our first guest survived the Titanic. She shattered James Caan's ankle with a sledgehammer and had a nude jacuzzi with Jack Nicholson. Now she plays an attorney named Matlock, but not that one. In Matlock, the season finale airs Thursday on CBS. Please welcome Kathy Bates. Thank you for coming. And what a big year you've had already.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
It's crazy.
I can't believe it. I mean, we're the #2 show in the network, across all the networks. We're the #6 across the whole television ecosystem.
Now you sound like Donald Trump.
Now you trying to get me in trouble.
Let me tell it for you. Because I think it sounds, you know, like for me, you could go, oh, stop. You won the Critics' Choice Award for Best Actress. You got nominated for all the awards so far. SAG Award, Golden Globe Award, and the show the first season isn't even over yet.
I know.
That's pretty good.
It's amazing. We got picked up after the second show.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
that's all right. And I feel like people forget, we were talking about this today, that when you won the Oscar for Best Actress for the movie Misery in 1990, that I think we now kind of have it in our head like, oh, she's, always been this great actress and a star that we know, but that was your first big movie.
Yeah, it was. I mainly worked on Broadway and off-Broadway as an actress, and that was my first really big part. And
does that screw you up at all to win an Oscar for your very first big part?
Yeah, like that. I was supposed to go and do a movie in Chicago. It was a tiny part. And literally the night after I won, they called from Chicago and said, we're not going to send a town car, we're going to send a limo.
Oh.
Right?
Okay.
And they said, will Miss Bates like an extra room at the hotel? And my husband said, what do you need an extra room for?
Yeah.
And I said, well, for my assistant. He said, well, you don't have an assistant, So I said, just shut up, everything is really good. So I went to Chicago. But there was a moment when I thought, gee, it's such a little part.
Uh-huh.
Why am I going to do a little part now? So, but I went to Chicago. I went with my little dog, and it was a movie that Alec Baldwin was in. And we were doing night shoots from 6 o'clock, you know how it goes, 6 in the evening, 6 in the morning. And we were walking to set, and it was a blue-collar neighborhood. There were all these guys out there, kids, family, whatever, and they were screaming for Alec's autograph, and they were screaming for mine. Like that. I mean, I'm telling you.
And you'd not had that experience before.
Never. So, I did a little bit of work. I went back to my trailer, and around 2 o'clock in the morning, I had to take my little dog out to do his business. And so I started to leave the trailer, and there was a security guard out that went, oh, sorry, Miss Bates, you can't go by yourself. I was like, okay. Okay, this is good. 3 more, I'll be like Madonna,
Sure.
So he takes me out with my bodyguard, and I've got my little Yorkie, and it's the middle of the night, and my little dog does his business, #2.
Oh.
And suddenly I realized...
My dog does that too, yeah.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yes. So I realized I had nothing to clean up after him with. And I was like, oh, crap, this guy's going to think I'm just this sleazebag.
Right.
So I'm looking everywhere, and I see a piece of paper on the ground, and I pick it up, and it has my autograph on it.
Did you use it? Yeah.
I used it. I figured it should be good for something, right?
Did your dog appreciate that bit of irony?
No, but
No.
it was
right over
the
their
universe
heads.
was going, just calm down.
Wow.
Just settle down.
Is it true that your grandfather had possession of the body of John Wilkes Booth?
Well, yes and no.
No, that's
We're not sure about that.
Okay.
Actually, my grandfather was in the late 1800s. My dad was born in 1900.
Okay.
So my grandfather, whom I never met, was a lawyer in Texas. And he met this man, John St. Helen. He knew him for many years. And he became ill, John St. Helen. And he confessed to my grandfather that he was the real John Wilkes Booth. And that he would find a picture, he was afraid he was going to die. And there was a picture underneath his pillow, and that he wanted people to know that this was him. And then he recovered. So my grandfather was thought, oh, you know, this guy might be a little weird or whatever. So years and years went by, and then there was a man by the name of David George in Enid, Oklahoma. He committed suicide. And he had confessed to a woman there. He said, I've killed the best man there ever was. And after he committed suicide, they found my grandfather's papers with his. So they got in touch with my grandfather and said, this guy, and he realized that John St. Helen was the same as David George.
Oh, many names.
Yes, many names, many aliases. He had many aliases. And so the only way that my grandfather had a way to prove that this was John Wilkes Booth was to have the body shipped
To him.
in Memphis, Tennessee. He had the body shipped to him. And because there were certain marks, like there was a cut over his eye, the things that were like Booth.
Did he leave you the body? Did he leave the family?
Yes, my Aunt Teetsy used to tell this story.
Oh.
Okay.
Does Aunt Teetsy have it? No.
No. No. She used to say that they kept the body in the parlor and they called it Uncle John. And then my grandmother, when my grandfather died, moved it out of there into the garage, and then it was sold to a traveling circus.
Oh.
So actually, I think if you go online, the body, you can tell, the journey of the body, you can figure it all out.
Well, I'm going right online after the show. Kathy Bates is with us. Wow, that's crazy. Kathy Bates, star of Matlock. We'll be right back.
Jacobson Moore gets an army of attorneys to bury this and you.
Then help me follow the money for your kids. And when all of this comes out, I'll make it clear that their mom was a hero.
While their dad sits in jail.
I thought you said he wasn't guilty.
That is Kathy Bates in Matlock. The season finale is Thursday night on CBS. That is, so just to be clear, for those who don't understand, you are not playing a relative of the character Andy Griffith played, Matlock. It actually exists in your world, that show.
Yes, she's a woman whose daughter passed away from an opioid overdose.
Right.
Like 10 years before, 12 years before the show starts. And in the pilot, you see her as an old woman. She sneaks her way into this firm, and she uses ageism to disarm people and to solve the cases. And then she gets on the bus. They win the case. She gets on the bus, and she goes one stop. She turns the corner, and there's a town car waiting for her.
Not
And
a limo.
I wasn't sure, but I kind of thought you might go there. Anyway, she gets in the town car. You see her reach in her purse. She puts a big honking diamond ring on her hand. And then she drives up to this big mansion in Westchester, and you're going, whoa, what's happening? And she sees her husband and her grandchild, all of whom she's been lying about them the whole time. And she goes into her office, and she turns, as you saw on that clip there, she has a whole murder board in her office of every single person that is in that firm. And her mission is to find out who hid documents 14 years ago that might have helped end the opioid epidemic earlier.
She's a mole.
She's a mole,
Nice.
but she's got this purpose for her daughter, which is, to me, that's what grabbed me and made me want to do the show.
Is this a sort of thing where you then sat at a law firm and observed, or went to trial, or went to jury duty,
God,
or
you
anything
don't want
like
me
that?
at jury duty, no.
No.
Well, you know, everybody has to go. Did you go? Do you go to jury
The
duty?
jury duty?
No.
No, I was sick that time.
Well, even Tom Hanks.
You know, I
has to
have
go.
responded to jury duty, but I never have been selected. For
Well, I don't
jury
think
duty.
I'm ever going to be selected now, because the
Why?
last time I went, I was
Did
on
you
the
bring the
jury.
body of John Wilkes Booth?
No, but I should have said that when I went in there. So I'm hard of hearing, and I couldn't hear the judge, so I kept cranking my hearing aids up really loud. And there was a woman way in the back on the second row, and she was coughing, and she was probably just going like that. But to me, it sounded like she was going, you know, and it was just this, and I kept looking over there, saying, can't they get her to shut up? And then they realized that I was having this problem with my hearing aids, but I don't know, it may have just screwed up the
Did
whole
you yell at the
case.
woman? How did they realize?
Yeah,
there was a
I just said,
problem?
can't you take something for that? You know? And I looked at the guy next to me, and he just looked at me like I was an idiot. You know? So I apologized to the judge, but I don't think they're going to invite me back.
Well, yeah, well, that'll be okay, I think, huh?
Yes.
Well, it's great to have you here. The show is called Matlock. It's a big hit, the season finale, Thursday night, 9 o'clock on CBS. Kathy Bates, everybody. Thank you, Kathy. We'll be back with Diego Luna. Guillermo, do you know how many subscribers we have on YouTube now?
20 million.
That's right, yeah, that's why we're wearing these glasses. Thanks for being a subscriber. If you're not, help us get to 20,000,001.